This is the closest I've seen to silver squeeze my whole career.
Interesting times. We did have a rally in the gold and silver markets on Monday, so here it's been quite eventful. And to check in and give us some insight into what's been going on is Andy Schectman of Miles Franklin. So with all of that long intro said, Andy, how are you today?
Good to see you, brother. And this is what I mean, Chris, when I say to you last week that you are the news. Guys like you are the media. And people should understand that, people have been listening to you, me, and others out here who've been saying this stuff, hopefully have prepared, whereas most people have no idea. I did a Zoom call with a bunch of people who are I guess you'd call them accredited, sophisticated investors, and most of them didn't even know what a bail-in is. They found out last night, obviously, or they started to hear about it. But my point is that the service that you're providing is really important. You're showing people what's happening, and you're talking about it months in advance. And I think this is just beginning. I really, truly do. And anyways, it's good to be here. It's good to see you again. My head feels like it's a Nerf ball. I feel like I've batted it against the wall all day. This is the closest I've seen to silver squeeze my whole career. They say that we're motivated in two ways in this world. We're motivated by greed, and that's been really the mantra of the past, 2 decades, at least the last decade, where low interest rates and easy money have stimulated the economies and created an amazing environment for traditional investments. But everything good comes to an end, and I think that is what we are seeing right now. Just as bullish as easy money and lower interest rates were for the economy and the markets, it will be equally and maybe even exponentially more bearish in an environment where credit is being reined in and rates are rising. And you can see this right now, because the reason it might be exponentially more is these banks have loaded up on assets at super low interest rates over the last several years. And when you see a rush of depositors out the door, like we saw here with the Silicon Valley Bank, they have to sell their assets. And those bonds they were buying at 2% and 3% are now being sold at 4% and 5%. They've lost over half their value. They're getting eviscerated. And like we saw last night, in one night, one of these banks can go upside down. And what the Fed has done by saying we'll backstop all this shit is ridiculous. They're signaling hyperinflation. And I think people out there are now concerned, and fear is taking over where greed left off. And I've never seen anything quite like it, truly. Whereas silver squeeze was a whole bunch of new people jumping in on the silver ride, what you're seeing right now is people grasping for whatever silver and gold that they can buy, because they don't want to leave their money in a banking system that is woefully undercapitalized, hugely overleveraged, and completely and totally uncertain as to where we're going. Chris, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Well, fortunately, Joe Biden did say that everything is okay and we're on sound footing, so there is that. But I think it's, at least to me, and I think to a lot of other people, surprising just at how quickly the thing unfolded here, and just a matter of days, losing a couple $100 in the share price as well. So I think that perhaps rightfully has people a bit concerned. And again, we're recording on Monday afternoon. This will be posted on Tuesday. But what were people saying? I hear all of the bullion dealers were getting a lot of calls today and even yesterday. And I'm curious what people were actually saying as they called in.
I want my money out of the bank. How quickly can this happen? I mean, we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars, where, people are calling in and leaving messages. I want to spend $2 million. I want to spend, that's not what normally happens, right? And, fear, anxiety, complete and total anxiety. You can feel it. It's palpable. Whereas during silver squeeze, it was about, I need to capitalize on this. It's going to go to the moon, just like AMC and GameStop. We're going to make a ton of money. It was different. It was chaotic. It was frenzied. And it was a lot of people, most of which were decent sized orders. Some were really small. Some were okay. This is people saying, I want to empty my bank account. I do not want my money at all in the banking system. I was taking orders till 1:30 in the morning last night. On Sunday night, I'm getting calls from the West Coast from people saying, oh, I didn't think you'd answer. I mean, I did. I was there doing paperwork and talking to people. And I've waited a career for an environment just like this. And I've been talking about this for the last 3 months, ever since the FDIC meeting in November. People are terrified, Chris, and honest to God, they are, and rightfully so. And you know what? I am too. I'm concerned. And when you listen to a cumulative amount of anxiety and fear over the last 24 hours that I have, I mean, it starts to drip off of you. And I feel this. I feel like I'm wearing everyone's anxiety, and it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. And one of the things that I want to say is that for me, gold and silver have been wealth. My whole career, my whole adult life, that was the way I learned this business. Gold and silver are wealth, have been for 5,000 years. Kings, queens, emperors, pharaohs, through every pandemic, through 2 world wars, through German hyperinflation, through the Great Depression, it's been wealth. And that's what it means to me. And I rue the fact that I have to talk about this in the light of, you better do it to save your ass. And that's kind of the way people are reacting right now. They feel that way, and I understand it. You know what? I've done the same thing. I've been buying it myself because I don't want my money in the banking system either. And I don't want all this money in dollars when we are being told that, oh, don't worry, everything is okay. Look the other way. I mean, what are the banks going to do? Are they going to save the dollar, or are they going to save the banks? And I don't know. I think this is a situation where, when the government tells us that everything is okay and don't worry, we're going to take care of it, that's when I think we should all be the most concerned. And they've been wrong, right? They've been wrong since day one. And they told, and when was the last time that the Fed and the Treasury and the FDIC met on a Sunday evening, followed up by the president saying, don't worry, as you said. Look, they've lost all credibility. There was going to be no inflation, and then it was transitory, and then, we're going to stop inflation, and then inflation reemerged. It's all crap. And they're scared. And the time to be scared is when they tell us, don't worry, we've got everything covered. I just think it's going to get a lot bigger than what's happened over the last few days. I truly do believe that.